I want to thank everyone here so much for being here today with us. My name is Sarah Smith, and I continue to have the wonderful privilege of serving as the Executive Director at Rainier Scholars. Oh. It's always nice. Whether this is your 9th luncheon, your first, or some number in between, we are grateful for your presence and your belief in the work that we do. I recently participated in an Executive Director Leadership Institute at the University of Washington. After 23 years as Seattleite, I figured it was well past time that I experience a little of the purple and gold that so many of you in the room hold so dear. There you go. And while there, I found myself in a position to reflect on the health and vitality of Rainier Scholars and all of the people who have helped get us to where we are. We have incredible students and families that we get to work with, committed staff and board, partner schools and community leaders, and we are thankful to every one of them, as well as you here in the room today. So whether you're an individual supporter, a school or foundation representative, or one of our many business groups that we value so deeply, thank you for your investment in our program. In our time together today, you will hear many different perspectives from scholars of all ages on our theme of opening doors and expanding horizons, because that is at the core and the essence of what we do. Opening doors of opportunity, which I might note students have to choose to walk through, and expanding horizons of what seems possible in one's life. When we do this, we believe it serves not only the student, but also each successive generation to come, shifting the trajectory of a community and family line towards a college-bound culture where previously one did not exist. In his recent book, Our Kids, Harvard political science professor Robert Putnam makes the argument that never before in our country's history has it been so difficult for a young person to rise above the economic and life circumstances that he or she was born into. His work supports that of Joseph Stiglitz, a Nobel Prize-winning economist, who indicates that the life prospects of an American are more dependent on the education and income level of their parents than in any other advanced nation for which there is data. With this college degree identified as the quintessential marker of future prospects, it is daunting, perhaps even overwhelming, to think about the current statistics, that between 8 and 16% of low-income students will earn a college degree by age 25, and that within that group, Black and Latino students are 2 to 3 times less likely to become college graduates than their fellow low-income peers. Naming this struggle for social mobility, quote, an opportunity gap which threatens the central tenet of the American dream, Putnam calls upon schools, families, and communities to come together and address this gap in a multitude of ways, none more promising or potentially impactful than that of enhancing and increasing access to outstanding educational opportunities and ultimately a greater number of college degrees in our nation's citizenry. At Rainier Scholars, our model facilitates access to and through higher education for those who will eventually do so for their families and community to follow. It is my deeply held belief in this efficacy of this approach that keeps me inspired and motivated nearly 15 years into this Rainier Scholars journey. I believe in this approach because I've seen it work firsthand for hundreds of scholars who have been the first in their family to go to and graduate from college. Scholars like Linda Nguyen, Garfield and UW alum, who teaches in the Bed-Stuy section of New York, traditionally one of the poorest districts in our country with perniciously low educational outcomes for its students. And yet, there she is, modeling the way. She knows it can be done. Her students also will go to college. I've seen our model work for folks like Deval Patrick, who through a very similar program like ours in one generation went from the south side of Chicago housing project to the campus of Harvard University to the State House of Massachusetts. He speaks movingly of the reality of this upward trajectory hitting home one day when his children came home with an assignment to write about the 4 seasons, as in winter, spring, summer, fall, not the 4 tops. And they came home asking instead, Why does my teacher want to know about the penthouse apartment we stayed in last week in New York? Most intimately of all, I have seen our type of model work in my very own family's evolution. 64 years ago, in the fall of 1951, a young boy in West Virginia coal mining territory, a town where the average education level stopped at 8th grade, was approached by the director of scholarship boys from Phillips Exeter Academy. This was a gentleman whose job it was to travel the country and identify boys who were, quote, long on brains and short on cash. He had a clear methodology for doing this. He went to the library to see which boys came in and read just for fun, and he consulted with the town newspaper owner to find out who had the work ethic to get up at 4:30 in the morning and deliver papers on their way to school. In this particular West Virginia town, a young man named Jack Smith was identified by both of those parties, and thus a door was opened and a horizon expanded when he stepped onto a train platform at 14 years of age to head north to one of the oldest prep schools in the country, a place where the classrooms and dormitories were filled with sons of Wall Street bankers, lawyers, and senators. Very few boys like Jack, and much to his dismay, not a girl in sight. Jack, now John, on the cusp of turning 80, is my father. And among the 3 siblings and 8 cousins of his generation, he remains the first and only in his family to attend and graduate from college, carving out a humble but very stable middle-class life where previously none existed. But then John had children, and educational options such as Exeter and colleges around the country became a possibility, perhaps even more of a given for my siblings and me. And now my children, though a little bit young to have their own college list yet, will have the opportunity to become 3rd-generation college grads. Furthermore, bringing it back to here, over the past 10 years, dozens of Rainier scholars from our very own community have had an opportunity to attend summer session and school year programs, and that education has launched to places such as Stanford and Harvard, Carleton, and beyond. And in my mind, each of those opportunities traceable back in some way to a man, a boy, and a scholarship offer made in 1951. The act of opening doors and expanding horizons creates a generational and community impact which may hardly be evident at the inception, but which becomes ever exponential over time. Oh, that's nice. Thanks, Dave. Gotta appreciate your friends in the front. I want to pause for a moment and really ask everyone in the room to think about a couple questions. What door of opportunity was opened for you along the way? By whom? What was the impact upon you and your family? And what doors will you open for others in this community? We all stand on the shoulders of those who come before us. Our collective efforts in this room demonstrate that we believe in the young people in our community and that we agree it is critical to continue to provide access to high-quality educational opportunities for hardworking, low-income students of color who will become upwardly mobile, college degree-holding leaders in their community. Opening doors and expanding horizons as often as we can for as many as we can will help enable us to make self-evident once again that central tenet of the American dream, that all children, regardless of race and socioeconomic background, should have the chance to pursue a future of boundless opportunity and possibility. Our community will be so much stronger for this effort. Thank you.